Right. It's a pretty wild thought.
It is, because when you step into a modern stadium today, your eyes tell you a very traditional story. You see the pristine green grass, the white chalk lines, the chaotic 90-minute struggle of physical endurance. It looks like the exact same emotionally charged game we've been watching for over a century. But beneath the surface, that stadium is no longer just a sports venue. It's operating as a massive edge computing hub. Yeah, it's essentially a localized supercomputer at this point. I mean, the sheer volume of data being generated, ingested, and processed in real time it's just staggering. We've moved way beyond basic statistics into this realm of live multidimensional simulation.
Exactly. And that brings us to the monumental transformation we're unpacking today. The architecture of decision-making in world football is fundamentally shifting. For 100 years, the sport relied heavily on experiential bias, what we affectionately call gut feeling or intuition, right?
Mm-hmm.
But today, we're seeing the rise of a highly calibrated, predictive ecosystem driven entirely by artificial intelligence. So the central question we must answer is this: does human intuition still have a place in modern football? Or is gut feeling entirely obsolete in the era of smart football?
It really is the defining philosophical tension of the modern game. And, it touches every single level of the sport, from the touchline to the boardroom. It's that classic tension between the math and the art.
Absolutely. And our discussion today is deeply grounded in the latest analytical models and scientific theses that define this integration of computer science into the sport. So my position is quite clear. Human intuition is fundamentally flawed by outcome bias, and AI's rigorous mathematical frameworks should entirely supersede experiential guesswork in modern football.
And I take the opposing view. I argue that football remains an inherently fluid and chaotic sport, where AI merely handles the computational burden to amplify rather than replace human flair, empathy, and intuitive athletic brilliance.
Right, so let's lay the groundwork for why the mathematical approach is so necessary. For over a century, the sport relied on subjective human observation, which is inherently vulnerable to what cognitive scientists call outcome bias.
Right, which is judging the quality of a decision based purely on whether or not it worked out, rather than, the actual process behind it.
Precisely. In traditional analysis, if a midfielder attempts a wildly risky 40-yard pass through a crowded defensive block and it happens to miraculously thread the needle, human intuition labels that a brilliant decision.
Right, they're genius.
Exactly. But if it deflects off a defender and is intercepted, intuition labels it a poor decision. But the underlying probability of that action succeeding was exactly the same in both scenarios. Human intuition just completely fails to evaluate the true underlying risk. Now, modern World Cup stadiums have solved this by becoming those massive edge computing hubs we mentioned. We are talking about sensor fusion.
And for anyone wondering what sensor fusion actually looks like in practice, it's the combination of multiple data streams to create one unified picture of the pitch.
Yes. You have these high-frequency optical tracking cameras ringing the stadium roof. They are tracking the skeletal movements of all 22 players, but they're also working in tandem with inertial measurement units, or IMUs, embedded directly inside.
In the farthest reaches of space, one scientist refused to stop searching. Every discovery uncovers the Scientist Explorers. Available now, just $4.99 on Amazon Kindle Unlimited. Start the adventure today.
The center of the match ball.
Which is just a brilliant piece of engineering, honestly. A microchip suspended perfectly in the center of the ball, sending data hundreds of times a second.
It measures the ball's exact spin, acceleration, and three-dimensional coordinates at 500 frames per second. So AI uses this sensor fusion to effectively digitize every micro movement on the pitch. It creates a digital twin of the live match in real time.
Wow.
Think of it like a live, hyper-accurate video game running parallel to reality. And within this digital twin, we deploy models like expected threat, or XT, and expected possession value, EPV.
But let's clarify what those models actually do, because they sound highly theoretical to a lot of people.
Sure. Think of the pitch as a living grid. Every single square meter of grass has a fluctuating decimal value attached to it. That value represents the exact percentage chance of your team scoring a goal from that spot within the next 10 seconds based on millions of historical data points. The algorithm knows the exact mathematical value of moving the ball from one specific coordinate to another. It isn't a retrospective stat. It dictates the most mathematically efficient path to breaking defensive lines, which renders human intuition, that old reliance on just feeling the flow of the game, dangerously outdated.
I completely hear the precision in your argument. And creating a digital twin of a live match at 500 frames per second is, well, it's a staggering technological achievement. But we must be careful not to confuse the map with the territory, you know?
How so?
Well, the advent of smart football and these incredibly sophisticated expected threat models does not erode the sport's unpredictability. AI is without a doubt the central nervous system of the modern game right now. It processes millions of spatiotemporal data points instantaneously. But stripping away the guesswork and handling the spatial analysis does not actually solve the game.
Wait, how does it not solve the game if it gives you the exact mathematical probability of scoring?
Because knowing the probability of an event doesn't execute the event. What AI does is free humans to execute their craft with greater clarity. The chaotic reality of the pitch, the driving rain, the physiological exhaustion, the sheer pressure of a World Cup final, that still requires human leadership and intuitive athletic brilliance. You need the human element to translate those abstract mathematical values into actual physical triumphs on the grass.
I see.
Yeah, mathematical optimization assumes the opponent will act rationally. But human intuition allows a player to do the irrational thing, which shatters the algorithm's prediction. AI provides the framework, sure, but human intuition provides the execution.
I see why you think that, but let me give you a different perspective. Let's shift this from theory into practice and look at tactical cognition and in-game adjustments. Let's put ourselves on the touchline.
Okay.
Historically, a manager watches the game and gets a gut feeling that the midfield is being overrun, or that a substitution needs to happen at the 70th minute because a player looks sluggish. Today, acting on that level of intuition is an outright liability. We use reinforcement learning and Markov decision processes.
Okay, if I'm listening to this right now, I'm probably wondering what a Markov decision process actually looks like on a rainy Tuesday night when a manager's trying to salvage a draw. I mean, how does a manager actually use that?
Fair point. Think of a Markov decision process like a chess engine evaluating a board. It doesn't care about a manager's emotional read of the players. It looks at the current state of the pitch, the positioning of the players, the score, the time remaining, and calculates the probability of moving to a more advantageous state.
Right.
Let me give you a comparison. Relying on gut feeling for a tactical substitution today is like trying to day trade on the stock market by reading yesterday's newspaper.
Ha!
Seriously? By the time human intuition feels the momentum shift, the algorithm has already priced it in. The AI can dictate substitutions by calculating the exact probabilistic increase in scoring if, say, a defensive midfielder is swapped for an attacking winger in that exact second. It turns tactics into a predictive science.
That's a compelling argument, but have you considered the translation layer? The day trading analogy is sharp, but I think you're giving the AI too much credit there. Yes, AI uses stochastic modeling, running thousands of random simulations to evaluate the probability of success for every potential pass. And it is remarkable that analytical insights can now reveal structural fractures in an opponent's formation before the human eye can detect them. For example, a computer might identify that the space between the opposing center back and left back is widening by, 3 millimeters every minute.
Which a human manager could literally never see from pitch level.
Exactly. A human can never see it. But wait, let's pause on that digital twin idea, because that's exactly where the human element gets lost. The AI cannot stand in the technical area and communicate that 3 millimeter widening to the squad. It is the human manager who must intuitively synthesize that data, understand the psychological state of his winger, and communicate it in a way that actually alters the player's behavior on the pitch. You cannot hand a spreadsheet to an exhausted athlete in the 70th minute.
Well, no, but the manager is just relaying the machine's insight. The machine is still the ultimate decision maker there.
Relaying it requires empathy and timing, profoundly human traits. Furthermore, exploiting that structural fracture requires the romanticism of human flair. The algorithm can tell a striker exactly where to stand to maximize that expected possession value you mentioned. But the act of receiving the ball on the half turn feinting past a lunging defender and striking it into the top corner. That is an act of intuitive athletic mastery. Algorithms calculate the solution. They cannot independently execute it.
All right, they cannot physically execute it on the pitch. I concede that. But if in-game algorithms dictate the tactics on the grass, they're also inevitably going to dictate who gets bought in the boardroom. Let's look at recruitment, scouting, and squad building. This is where execution is purely a matter of decision-making, and where human intuition has historically cost clubs billions of dollars.
Oh, absolutely. Scouting is definitely the frontier where data has caused the most upheaval.
And for good reason. The traditional scouting model relied almost entirely on subjective human observation and recency bias. A scout would travel to a match, watch a player for 90 minutes, and write a report based on their feeling of the player's potential. Maybe the scout caught the player on a brilliant day or a terrible day. It carries immense financial risk. Now, we have advanced machine learning pipelines processing massive data sets across dozens of global leagues simultaneously. We aren't just looking at goals and assists, we use clustering algorithms to identify underlying kinematic similarities.
Kinematic similarities meaning how their bodies actually move in space.
Exactly. If a top European club wants to understand how a raw 19-year-old prodigy from South America will adapt to a highly structured, high-pressing tactical system in England, they don't ask a scout for their intuition. The AI overlays a digital wireframe of that South American prodigy directly over the historical data ghost of a veteran European striker.
Wow.
We can see if their hips rotate at the exact same angular velocity when striking the ball. We can measure if they decelerate in the exact same number of milliseconds. We run multivariable regressions to predict exactly how that player's physical and technical outputs will scale when dropped into a new league. We can quantify the abstract concept of potential. Intuition is entirely replaced by empirical proof.
I come at it from a different way. You paint a flawless data pipeline, but this is where I firmly draw the line. I will readily concede that AI minimizes financial risk by providing a robust statistical baseline. Overlaying a digital wireframe to find a kinematic match is phenomenal for evaluating biomechanics. But algorithms fundamentally cannot quantify the human elements explicitly required in the modern game. We're talking about human empathy, resilience, leadership, and adaptability.
But if the physical output matches, the results should follow. I mean, it's just math.
Not in a complex social system like a football club. AI evaluates the player as a statistical output. Human intuition evaluates the player as a person. The AI can tell you that the 20-year-old winger has the exact acceleration profile to match your high press. But human intuition is deeply necessary to understand the psychological variables of integration. How does that young prodigy handle the media scrutiny of a major European capital? How do they react when 80,000 home fans turn on them after a bad pass?
Right, but
And how do they fit into the complex social hierarchy of a locker room filled with established, ego-driven veterans?
you don't think predictive models factor in behavioral data? They're starting to track everything.
Not with the nuance required. These are profoundly human questions. You can measure a player's hip rotation, sure, but you cannot mathematically measure his homesickness. At the absolute elite level of world football, those psychological factors, not just the angular velocity of a shot, are often the difference between a generational talent and a multi-million-dollar failure. A scout's intuition about a player's character is irreplaceable.
That perspective feels a bit nostalgic, primarily because you are vastly underestimating how deeply smart football extends into the physiological and psychological management of the athletes. The system actually mitigates those failure states you just described. Look at physical load management and high-stakes officiating. Human beings, whether they are players or referees, are subjected to extreme psychological pressure and distinct physical limitations. Intuition fails under fatigue.
Okay, but how does the AI step in to manage fatigue better than a medical professional's intuition?
By seeing what the human eye literally cannot.
We used to rely on a manager's intuition to see if a player looked tired before subbing them off. Now AI is constantly evaluating neuromuscular degradation and asymmetrical loading via wearable telemetry. We are talking about GPS vests and biometric sensors. If a center back is favoring his left leg by just 2% when he decelerates, a human medical team won't notice that. It's invisible to the naked eye. but the algorithm flags it as an impending soft tissue injury before there is any clinical manifestation. We forecast hamstring tears weeks before they happen.
That is preventative medicine, which is fantastic, but it's fundamentally different from decision-making under pressure.
Well, it is entirely about decision-making. We've removed human intuition from officiating for the exact same reason. The machine doesn't get tired or stressed. We used to rely on a referee's intuitive positioning to make legacy-defining offside calls. Now AI mitigates this via semi-automated offside technology and skeletal tracking algorithms.
Right, the new VAR systems.
Exactly. The system provides an instant, indisputable three-dimensional reconstruction of the field. It knows exactly when the ball was struck and exactly where the attacker's shoulder was. It completely removes human error from objective decisions. A manager's intuition on player fatigue or a linesman's intuition on an offside trap is empirically inferior to biomechanical modeling. The machine is simply better equipped to manage the human physical condition.
I'm sorry, but I just don't buy that. Let me tell you why. You're presenting the prediction of injuries and the removal of referee error as a total replacement of human intuition. In reality, it serves to profoundly protect human intuition.
Protect it? Wait, how does automating a referee's call protect player intuition? That seems like a stretch.
Think about what smart football is actually achieving in the ecosystem you just described. By managing rigorous physical loads with predictive regressions, and by removing human error from objective officiating decisions, AI is clearing the brush. It is creating a pristine environment for the athlete. It ensures that the outcomes of legacy-defining matches are decided purely by the human beings playing the game, not by a blown offside call or a preventable hamstring tear.
Oh, I see. So you view the AI as a sort of custodian for the sport.
Exactly. The system is optimizing the athlete as a biological entity precisely so that they can continually reach uncharted heights of strategic brilliance. When a player isn't unconsciously compensating for a micro tear in their muscle because the AI caught it early, they are free to play with complete instinctive freedom. They don't have to worry about the cold, hard, objective realities of physical breakdown. It proves that AI is an amplifier. It takes care of the math and the biomechanics so that the humans can focus entirely on the beautiful, subjective art of the game. The intuition hasn't been replaced. It has been unleashed.
Well, that is a very compelling way to frame the relationship between the two. However, when we synthesize these perspectives, I still maintain that the foundation of modern football has irrevocably shifted toward the machine. The digital twin ecosystem is dictating the terms of engagement. By deploying stochastic modeling and real-time biometric tracking, AI strips away the cognitive biases that have plagued managers and scouts for a century. It provides an unequivocally scientific, probabilistic foundation for every major choice. It makes the sport fundamentally smarter by acknowledging a simple truth. The human mind simply cannot calculate a dynamic, multivariable matrix in real time. We have finally admitted our cognitive limits.
And my synthesis remains that smart football's greatest triumph isn't highlighting our cognitive limits, but elevating the human condition on the pitch. By taking on the immense computational burden of modern spatial analysis and physiological load management, AI handles the math, but it does so to amplify human intelligence and emotion. It preserves the sport's fluid, chaotic, and unpredictable core. You can map expected possession value down to the millimeter, sure, but the game is still won by a moment of human flair, a sudden burst of empathy between teammates, and the intuitive brilliance of athletes performing under unimaginable pressure.
Despite our different philosophical leanings, I think where we absolutely find convergence today is in the profound reality of that data ecosystem. Technologies like sensor fusion, skeletal tracking, and models like expected threat have irrevocably altered how value and risk are perceived across the global game.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whether you view the algorithm as a replacement for human guesswork or an amplifier of athletic art, there is no denying that decision-making in football is vastly smarter, faster, and more analytically rigorous than at any point in its history.
Completely agreed. I mean, the days of judging a tactical decision entirely by outcome bias, praising a bad pass just because it luckily reached its target, are thankfully behind us. The integration of advanced kinematics and data pipelines into our understanding of the sport is a permanent and welcome evolution. We just have to ensure we don't lose the soul of the game in the spreadsheets.
It leaves us with a truly intricate balance to consider. We have deterministic algorithms mapping every square inch of the pitch, constantly running up against the beautiful game's inherent